Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Sole Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the Wade 808 4 Ultra. So as you guys all know, the 808 line is one of my favorite shoe lines from Way of Wade, or actually of recent memory. You know, it's a really good basketball shoe line. And of course the 808 is specifically from Way of Wade, and also is specifically made with a drop-in midsole, which of course in my personal opinion, I think drop-in midsoles are superior just because, you know, a couple of reasons. First of all, the foam is actually replaceable. You know, if you bottom the cushion out, you can get a fresh new cushion and put in a new drop-in midsole. Another plus is that it doesn't need a swivel board. So because of that, your foot is right on top of the foam, so you have really good stepping comfort and underfoot cushion. Also, another thing is that you have really good lateral containment because they usually have a raised sidewall on the side and better texture, so you have better lockdown, which we'll get into all of that. But of course, this is the 808 4 Ultra, then this is the 808 3 Ultra, and I love the 808 2 Ultra as well. And the Ultra is the ultra or premium version of the regular kind of like 808 line, right? So we had the 808 3 Ultra, we had the regular 808 3, and I'm sure the 808 4, the regular 808 4 is coming out soon, but the Ultra came out. It usually comes out first with the Ultra, right? But the 808 4 Ultra retails for $160. I mean, it's been that price since the 808 2, I believe. And then the 808 3 Ultra retails for $160, but it is on sale. There are some colorways on sale for like $140, $130. So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. And if you do choose to get either of these shoes, it does help me out if you buy it from the affiliate link in the description box. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. But let's get started right off with the Traxione. So the traction is really interesting, right? So as you guys can see, there's a lot of holes. We got 4 holes, and also this big ass kind of like line going through the entire outsole, and there's no rubber there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why you would expose the rubber here, you know what I mean? Because a friction, you know, grip, you have better grip when there's more surface area, when you have more rubber in contact with the ground, of course. And if you put this here, which is a high wear area, you're on your forefoot a lot, you have less grip. So I don't really understand that from a design standpoint, from like a functionality standpoint, but they did that, and it's exposing like the plastic, which literally goes throughout the entire outsole, which we'll get into. But yeah, we have like a line. Pretty much, we have a line going this way, and then also a lot of lines going this way, and it's kind of like perpendicular to each other, and that's it. And then we have kind of like a crisscross pattern here in the heel, and it kind of has another perpendicular line here on the medial side, which is pretty interesting, right? So how is the traction? So when I first got this shoe in and I tried it on my wood floors, it was not feeling good, right? The bite wasn't that good, and also it wasn't really squeaking that much. Of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a nice loud squeak, and I feel like most hoopers like that as well. And of course, the 808 3 and the 808 3 Ultra and all the versions of the 808 3 has a really nice loud high-pitched squeak, right? So I was a little bit disappointed in that, and the traction didn't feel that good. But then I actually played in it once today. I got it in today and actually played in it once, and I just got back literally a couple hours ago, and I'm filming this video right now. But yeah, so I needed to break it in just a tiny bit, maybe like a game, and it started to really bite very well. And also it has a really nice loud high-pitched squeak, which is weird, you know what I mean? So of course the kind of like material, like the wood floor that's in my apartment, and also the wood kind of finish that's on the actual basketball courts is different. So that's probably why the performance is a little bit different. Also, like I said, I did break it in a little bit today. So yeah, the traction feels really good so far. It has a top tier bite, just like every single 808 has had. You know, the 808 2, the 808 3, now the 808 4. So of course I do like that. And just from my first wear as well, it didn't really seem to be picking up that much dust, which is pretty interesting. I was playing in a couple other shoes like the GT Hustle Academy, and that shoe was picking up a little bit of dust, and I needed to wipe pretty frequently actually. Hopefully hopefully that breaks in and gets a little bit better, but that was my first wear test today too. But also for my first wear test with this shoe, when I switched into this shoe, I really didn't have to wipe at all. So I really like that. And also for durability, outdoor use, this feels really, really good. The rubber is extremely freaking hard. The grooves are deep and you have a lot of surface area. I mean, the grooves are pretty close together, so I'm pretty surprised that it's performing well on dust so far. And also, like I said, we have these holes which has less surface area and less contact with the ground, but the traction is feeling really good so far. And also we have the carbon fiber Mifa chain plate exposed here in the middle of the outsole, which of course is a nice touch. And also we have a little bit of carbon fiber here on the lateral side as well, and it says Wade. And then of course, comparing that with the 808 Ultra, this had really nice traction. It just picked up a little bit of dust. Also the 808 does seem like it'll be a little bit more durable. I mean, this is really good still, but then like the thinner grooves here in the forefoot, it's still nice there, but it just seems a little bit softer than the rubber here in the 808, right? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels a little bit clunky, right? So I don't know why companies, when they have a drop-in midsole, they just put so much. Look at this. It's just all rubber right here. Look at how thick the rubber is, and also look at all this plastic, right? By the way, this is a hole, so there's kind of like a window so you can peep into the actual shoe, exposing the drop-in midsole, which is pretty cool. I'm a little bit worried about stuff getting in there though. Obviously this is a hoop shoe, but if you're like wearing it outside, maybe you walk in the dirt or something, maybe some dirt might get in there, so that kind of worries me. But either way, it is pretty clunky here in the heel, right? There's literally no compression. It's very, very stiff, so I don't really like that too much in the heel, but there is a nice curved shape, so it's not super clunky, but definitely does have a little bit of a clunkiness to it. And then here in the forefoot, we have a very nice rocker shape. You know, so you put a little bit of weight here into the forefoot, just kind of propels you forward, which I do like. And also it is pretty dang springy, right? Because it is using pretty much full on plastic. You guys can see that? This is all plastic here, right? Plastic, we got the carbon fiber, but there's this also plastic and then plastic, right? So it's not super stiff. I was expecting it to be very, very stiff, but it's actually not. You can actually, you know, bend it pretty easily. Not super easily, but pretty easily here in the forefoot. However, you need to put a little bit of force into it, and also has a nice springiness to it as well, right? So that's probably due to the plastic here and also the plastic here on the lateral side. And also we have the carbon fiber Mifa chain plate, which is really good for torsional support. The 808 it's a little bit kind of like, it still has a little bit of springiness to it, but the 808 actually feels a little bit springier here in the forefoot, which feels nice, right? So there is the heel to toe transition. I definitely wish they would have kept it like a foam here or something, kind of like the Kobe 8s, you know, so it's not as clunky feeling, but it's not terrible, you know. And now moving on to the cushioning setup, like I mentioned before, this shoe has a drop-in midsole and it's full length Boom. And if you guys didn't know, Boom foam is my favorite foam right now. Like literally out of any foam, React, Cushlon, Boost, whatever, this is my favorite because Boom is really light, so it doesn't add that much weight to the overall shoe. And also it's super duper soft, very comfortable, and it has a lot of rebound and bounce back. And also it actually lasts a good amount of time. You know, it doesn't bottom out that quickly, right? So yeah, like I mentioned before, your foot is right on top of this Boom midsole, which is extremely comfortable for underfoot cushion and step-in comfort, right? So here in the forefoot, it's really, really soft. I mean, obviously here in the forefoot, it is a good amount thinner than the heel, but then here in the heel, it's actually a little bit thicker, and it feels really nice and comfortable. There's a lot of compression right underneath your heel, which feels great, right? Also, we have this really nice texture, which is literally pretty much the exact same pattern as the outsole, which is pretty cool, but there is a very nice fine texture to it, which does grab your sock, which does improve lockdown, like I said. And also there is a raised sidewall on the lateral side of the drop-in, also on the medial side with a little bit of a raised arch. So you have really good lateral containment because of that. And also here on the bottom of the drop-in, there's nothing. You know what I mean? There's nothing. But if you look at the 808 Ultra, we have this kind of plate. I mean, you guys remember this plastic right here? Right? So obviously they probably added that because the overall shell of the shoe, it was really, really soft. You know what I mean? But if you look at the 808 they didn't need to add that because we have this plastic here, right? This plastic, and also on the lateral side, like I said. So the overall support and shape of the shoe kind of still stays there, right? It still have that springiness, so they didn't need to add that. But also, I don't know if it's placebo or something, but right now the 808 cushion, like the drop-in midsole, feels a little bit more plush, a little bit nicer than the 808-3. But then when I like feel it in hand, as far as the thickness goes, it feels around the same. Yeah, I guess besides in the heel, I don't know if you guys can see, but it kind of dips in here in the heel, right? So it is a little bit thinner here in the heel. So maybe that's one thing about the 808-4 where if there is no hole, there's no dip. So this is actually really thick, and maybe that's why it compresses a little bit more. I don't know, but it feels really nice so far. The only thing that was a little bit of a problem in the 808-3 Ultra was like really hard impacts, right? Because this foam is super soft, it compresses a good amount, and when I was doing really hard impacts, it was bottoming out the cushion and my foot was hitting the floor a little bit. It wasn't terrible or anything, but it wasn't the best for impact protection, right? Like hard impacts. But I feel like the 808-4 might fix that. It feels a little bit better. So I really like the cushioning setup, and also the cord feels great. So it's great, but the only thing I don't like, of course, is there's no compression here in the heel. So it is pretty clunky. So there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So we have a knitted upper. And it looks like a kind of like a screen mesh almost. And then we have like an embroidered material. It's pretty much like a straight line, and it kind of makes that a perpendicular or right angle here in the upper as well, which is pretty cool. I don't know why they were going for that corner, but we have that corner here in the toe box, here on the outsole, and also on the drop-in midsole. But yeah, it does feel pretty dang nice. It's thin. It does feel, or it sounds kind of like plasticky almost, you know what I mean? So I don't really like that. I feel like the underlaying material is a little bit plastic, but I do like the embroidered part of the upper. So it's really thin, it's supportive, it conforms to your foot very well, especially here in the toe box. So I don't really have any issues with that. And also we have a few cords as well with this like darker pink color, right? And then going around the toe box, we do have a nice bit of fuse as well. It does feel a little bit thicker than the 808-3 Ultra, which is nice. That'll be better for durability and support. And then coming here into the midfoot, it stays pretty dang thin. It doesn't really feel like they added much here on the lateral side, but on the medial side, we do have some like synthetic material overlays, right? And then for the tongue is actually pretty interesting. So it's kind of like a half booty construction tongue, but not really. So the tongue is actually stitched to the upper right here, right? It doesn't go underneath the upper. But then on the medial side, the tongue kind of goes in like a half booty construction tongue. And then on the lateral side right here, it's actually attached to the upper. So that's a really interesting design. There's also holes for ventilation, of course. We also have a heart, right? And this is the Family Love colorway, by the way. And there's not that much padding on the tongue, so it's not super cozy or anything. And then here in the ankle area, we have like an average amount of padding. It's not super well padded. So overall, I do like the material. It feels nice on foot. It feels supportive. It's minimal. However, I feel like it feels a little plasticky and a little bit cheap here in the toe box, especially for the $160 price tag. I think the 808-3 Ultra feels a little bit better, and also the 808-3 Ultra V2 with the knit, and also the 808-3 Ultra V2 Low, I believe it was. Those materials feel a little bit better than the 808-4 Ultra. Here in the toe box, right? And of course, here in the midfoot, we have the midfoot strap. And one thing I do like about the strap, however, is that it just stays open. And there's some straps like the Kyrie 6, for example, where when you're trying to put on the shoes and you're tightening the laces, you kind of have to like go like this and keep the strap from closing, which is kind of annoying. But this one just stays open, you know what I mean? And there is a nice bit of kind of like spandex material, like a stretchy material where you can really stretch it out and then tighten the midfoot strap. And also there's some hearts on it, but it's a really thin strap, which it doesn't add too much bulk to the overall shoe, which I do like. So it tightens over your midfoot just a tiny bit. It doesn't feel like it's improving lockdown all too much, but I do like how they made it really minimal and also how it stays open. And now moving on to the fit, I went up half a size and this shoe fits me pretty dang well. I mean, with all of my 808s, I have been going up half a size just because I want it to be a little bit looser in the toe box, because I don't mind a looser toe box with this shoe, specifically because it has really good lockdown, you know what I mean? So first of all, it's actually quite snug here in the toe box, so I really like that. If it was roomier, then I would go true to size, right? But also because the lockdown is so good with the really fine texture on the drop-in, it just keeps my foot in place and I don't mind the length, you know what I mean? So also the width I would say is normal width, right? Normal to slightly wide, which of course is good if you have a wide foot. So if you want a really snug fit, especially like lengthwise, you want your toes to go right to the edge of the shoe, I would suggest going true to size. But if you want it to be a little bit more roomy and you're just like me and you won't mind it as much because of the great lockdown, then going up half a size, you should be fine, especially since it is still pretty dang tight here in the toe box, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown, I mean, I'm not going to have any issues with a lateral containment, it looks like, because first of all, like I said, with the drop-in midsole, we have that raised sidewall, right? So that's your first layer of defense. You know what I mean? So that's going to help with lateral containment, first of all. And also, another thing that helps a lot with the lockdown is the texture, like I keep saying. So that really grabs your sock and keeps your foot in place as well. And also, if you look on the outside of the shoe, you can see how many lateral counters there are. You know what I mean? So here in the forefoot, we have the plastic coming up, acting as sidewall, as well as the fuse. Here in the midfoot, we have the kind of like the carbon fiber, as well as the midfoot strap a little bit. And then here in the heel, we have an internal TPU heel counter as well as an external TPU heel counter, feels like. So lateral containment, your foot is not going anywhere. Lateral stability also feels really, really good. You can see this crazy outrigger. You can see how much it protrudes out. So lateral stability feels really good so far as well. And doesn't really feel like there is any type of heel slippage. So supporting lockdown feels really, really nice so far. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. It's probably not going to be super light. I'm guessing like average weight. You know what I mean? So, yeah, 12.45 ounces. Let's check the 808 3 Ultra. It's probably around the same weight, right? Because it's not a super light shoe for both of them because there's just so much plastic and like rubber, especially here in the heel. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing this will be around 12 ounces as well. Oh no, 13.5. What? Interesting. I don't know why the 808 3 Ultra is heavier. 13.5 versus 12.5. 12.45, so it is an ounce lighter. Surprisingly, it doesn't seem like it would be that much lighter, especially since, you know, with all this rubber, I thought this would be a little bit heavier, but I guess it's not. When I was playing it today, I felt extremely quick. You know, I felt very supported into the shoe. I felt really quick because the traction felt really nice. And the cushion was really comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, it has a nice little bounce, but also it felt really soft for underfoot cushion. So I really liked playing it today, right? And now moving on to the aesthetics. I don't know, guys. Especially the other colorways. You guys see the other colorways that came out? Like the green and like purple one? I'm not a huge fan. Like the yellow one too. I definitely feel like the 808 3 looks way better. But I definitely feel like the 808 4 is growing on me a little bit though. But I definitely feel like this pink colorway is my favorite out of all the other colorways that came out for the 808 4 Ultra. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, I mean, it feels like the 808 3 Ultra, which of course is a good thing because the 808 3 Ultra was a top tier performer last year. But yeah, the 808 4 Ultra, however, is lighter, right? And the cushion is feeling a little bit better as well. And also, hopefully the traction is better on dust than the 808 3 Ultra because like I mentioned before, it did pick up a little bit of dust for this shoe. It felt really good in this shoe so far. So hopefully if the dust performance is better, this shoe is definitely going to be a little bit of an upgrade from the 808 3 Ultra, which of course will make it a top tier performer, right? So that about concludes my first impressions look on the 808 4 Ultra. Again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave the free link in the description box. I am super duper excited to keep testing these out because it felt really, really nice, right? But anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.